Hello, welcome back to Gooner Fanzine after a fantastic 4-0 victory at the Emirates. We finally got a good game and it looked like a very positive win, chaps, didn't it?
Finally, good results.
But I think
very impressive.
there's so many talking points for this game, but let's start off with our captain getting a brace. Once again, I think he just looked like he was dangerous and he was really attacking the ball. You know, he sort of took over two very big Norwich mistakes to get the 2 goals, but Dan, what did you think of Aubameyang's performance today?
Yeah, well, he's now the quickest player to reach 50 Premier League goals for Arsenal, isn't he? So good night for him. And as you say, he capitalised on 2 mistakes, but I think that came through his tireless work rate. There were points in the first half when he was chasing down to Krul. I think if you look a few minutes before the goal, he did something similar and Krul just got the ball away. So the goals came about through his work ethic and his work rate. So it's really good to see, and glad he's now reached those 50 goals after a bit of a dry spell.
Yeah, I mean, one of the surprising points of the entire game was one of the best goals was probably from Granit Xhaka. And I know we were all quite surprised by that. But Glen, what did you think of Xhaka's positioning to actually get there and hammer that goal in?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great move. I did just sort of like going back from Xhaka, but Tierney's little disguise pass down to who put the ball in? Aubameyang, down to Aubameyang. And yeah, he swept it in majestically. You know, it'd be nice to see a few more of them. But yeah, no, I was very pleased for him. I like the fact, I mean, they're not supposed to be doing it, but there was a lack of social distancing for the celebration. They all seemed very pleased about it. But, you know, hats off.
Also, did we notice that when Aubameyang went off, Granit Xhaka took the armband?
Yes.
Yeah. I did indeed, yeah. So all these things have been saying it will never happen. Happened.
Madness.
Well, Jake, you were with us for the away leg when we went over to Norwich and saw the Freddie Ljungberg's first game in charge when we drew 2-2, Aubameyang scoring from the penalty spot. What did you think of our sort of midfield performance today? I mean, what did you think of Dani Ceballos and how he played?
Arsenal seem to have really come on the game since the first 2 games. Arteta ball is back in a brilliant style now. Ceballos has been playing out of his skin since recently. And Xhaka's been good as well, which is for me to say that.
Well, you mentioned Arteta ball, and I think a player that he obviously watched our video about Kieran Tierney absolutely playing out of his skin. Bellerin decided to really put some big, strong effort in today, and he was making so many runs down that side of the pitch that he just looked like the old Bellerin that we haven't seen for quite a while. I mean, Dan, you've obviously been a big proponent of Bellerin and wanting him to be captain, and sort of he's the future of Arsenal. How were you pleased with him today?
Yeah, as you say, he kept getting in down that right-hand side time and time again. I think there was one early on where he got a bit caught in 2 minds whether to have a shot or cross the ball. But yeah, time and time again, he kept finding that space and getting in behind and stretching Norwich, which was really good to see. It's good to see him getting sharper now. Obviously, he had that really bad injury and he's still, working his way back. If you look at ACL injuries, it takes a long time to actually get back to where you were previously rather than it being an immediate thing when you return to action. I don't think a lot of people understand or appreciate that. So it's good to see him getting back to the right level of fitness. And now 9,000 trees planted, which is also a real positive.
Finally.
But Jake, you've obviously been quite a big fan of Bellerin as well. How did you find Bellerin's performance today?
I think Bellerin's coming back to his old shape because he's always had major. When he gets injured, it's always been injuries that have laid him off for long times. And once he gets in his game again, then he gets injured again. But when he's in his game, he's superb. He's one of the best right backs in the league.
This is true. I mean,
yeah.
Glen, you've obviously been watching the Arsenal with a slight sort of pinch of salt this half of the season, but Bellerin surely must have been a highlight for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, I sound like Leif there. I do think we posited a lot of sort of what's the new look football going to be like after the restart. And I totally agree with Dan. The fans, when they see someone on the pitch, just because he's back on the pitch, they're not always back to their best after those long-term injuries. And I do think, whilst they're obviously not training games, they're proper games, but there's that slight lack of pressure on him. And I think it's good for him not playing in front of a crowd. He's not overstretching himself in terms of sort of crowd pressure and that to do stuff. And I think it's a good way back for him, actually. He's like getting games, but not without that sort of expectancy, that over expectancy from crowds. Because we all know the sort of player he could be. Yeah, it was very heartening. And yeah, I sort of just echo a lot of what Dan said about coming back from the injury.
Yeah, I think Glenn's right there. Like mentioning the crowd, it's important in a way for the crowd not to be there. Obviously, we want fans to be there, and fans have the right to voice their opinions. I mean, this is literally what we're doing now, so we can't really say anything. But like, think of it this way: if a ball went out to Bellerin on the touchline, he miscontrolled it and he rolled out for a throw-in. If the crowd's there, they're really going to get on his back, aren't they? But if he does that in a game like this behind closed doors, like, I'm sure Mikel Arteta will get on his back, but it's done and gone, you know? So I think it does take a lot of the pressure off. And I think it's helping Arsenal in a way, especially players like Bellerin who are trying to come back, or the youngsters who are trying to establish themselves. They've not got as much pressure on them.
That's true. I mean, you mentioned about injuries, and obviously Cedric, we signed him January 31st. We signed line with an injury, and he comes on for his debut in the most strange pattern. In the first ever professional Arsenal game played in July, behind closed doors. It's a very strange way to make a debut, but maybe, like you said, not having a crowd around him just helped him put his head down and focus on the game. Because when that goal went in, I think my neighbours, if they didn't know before, they definitely know that I'm an Arsenal fan now. But what did you think of that debut, Dan? Because I know you had a lot of thoughts about Suarez.
Well, I mean, if he's lashing in shots like that from the edge of the box every game, don't let the fans back in. In all seriousness, it was good to see him get on and get a goal, which I don't think anybody saw coming or expected. I mean, I've got to apologise. I did say on the podcast numerous times he's never going to play for Arsenal. He has now. He looked right when he came on forward down the right side well. So hopefully he can provide that cover for Bellerin and get some experience in the dressing room as well.
And Jake, you've obviously been watching the football with us. What did you think of Cedric's debut today?
When we signed Cedric, I thought this was just a back up the numbers this signing, and when you heard about we signed him injured, and then he was injured. He was wearing a face mask in the friendly matches that we saw the pictures of. I think it was an amazing. I wasn't expecting to see that go in. I thought when he touched the ball, I thought it was going to go into the stand.
Well, yeah. Funny you mentioned that, because I mean, the last player we signed that was injured from memory was Kim Kallstrom. So it seems.
I won't hear a bad word said about Kim Kallstrom. So much where you're going with this.
But you mentioned bad words. There weren't all positives in this game. There was a lot to improve upon. I think Arteta at half-time substituting off Mustafi for Holding. So I think Mustafi looked a little bit rusty in that first half. I mean, Glenn, you've obviously kept a keen eye on Mustafi, and we've all been very judgmental of him. What did you think Mustafi went wrong with him in the first half?
Well, I wrote down something. Have we played 7 games in 14 days or something like that? What's the exact stats? Right, okay, yeah. And has he featured in all of those?
Yes, he has.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about rusty. I think it's possibly a little, possibly leggy. Mm-hmm. I think, when we had that cushion, that was a fair enough decision to make. Just take him out of it, give him a slight rest. We had that luxury today to be able to sort of, rather than make desperate substitutions, actually just sort of rest a few people and rotate it a bit. We had that cushion. So I don't know. Yeah, he was a little bit shaky, but it's just the closing down thing. And again, they had sort of, but all their chances came from shots outside the box. I certainly counted this 3.
Yeah.
But I wasn't overduly worried about his performance tonight.
I think it's just something to keep an eye upon. But you mentioned about the shots from distance, and a player that really impressed me today was Martinez, because he faced some pretty rapid thunderbolt shots from quite a long way out between a lot of players. And he still managed to get his body in the right position and actually save them. I
think obviously there was the free kick in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
But the second half, we sort of took our eye off the ball a bit. Slow coming out of the traps for the second half. And not only did he save that, the way he sort of got his hand to it and then just sort of pulled it in, managed to retrieve it, was a cracking save. Yeah, I'm impressed at the moment the way he stepped in.
Yeah, because that kick, as you said, that was an absolute thunderbolt. And as soon as I saw that, if it was Leno, I wouldn't have been as worried, because it was a more rusty Martinez. There was a little bit more fear, but he seems to have allayed all of our fears in the past sort of 3-4 games, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think this is a very good thing. Obviously, Leno being out, we were a bit worried, and we obviously don't want to see a player get as bad injuries as he did. But Martinez coming in and performing like he has is only going to bring extra competition, which is going to improve both of them as goalkeepers. So I think it is a real positive, and fair play for Martinez stepping in. He's not made that many league appearances for Arsenal over, I think, a decade now.
Again, somebody possibly, I said this in a previous podcast, but possibly benefiting from the lack of crowd there.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, because he's only been the cup goalie. He's only been the cup goalie, and he wasn't even, for some of that time, he wasn't even that. When Petr Cech was around, so he was pretty much third choice last year.
Mm.
He had no game time really. He had no game time really last year. And when Leno was injured, I thought, oh no, this is going to be the end of us the year. He shocked me.
Yeah,
Martinez, because
if you look at his loan deals he's been on, he's been to Reading, Getafe, Wolves, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, and Oxford. So he's not actually had, what you would describe as, Premier League practice loans there. But
we had a few good pies.
With the exception of Getafe, he's not really seen the level of striking ability that Leno or Petr Cech were used to. So it's the fact that he's managed to get used to it. But speaking of striking ability, we've got obviously a massive availability of strikers now. As we saw today, we saw 4 or 5 of them on the pitch. But one that seems to be lacking in confidence, ability, and almost a bit of sort of self-belief is Lacazette, former Arsenal Player of the Season. Now he's a player that really hasn't been playing this season. I mean, Glenn, you had some strong words about Lacazette today.
Yeah, well, I said when we were off air, I'm allowed to say it, that's highfalutin terms when we were speaking before, that, he's so slow, he's moving like a drunken mollusk. He should have a shell on his back. But this is not overnight. This has been going on. I mean, I can remember in the sort of early days of this podcast with Dan, and Dan agreed with me that for as much as we were getting on Ozil's back and stuff, Lacazette was really not producing anything. I mean, he should have put that header in tonight. Was it Ceballos who dinked in the cross?
Yeah.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, it was.
But that's bread and butter for somebody of his supposed calibre. I just think he might be next on the list to be phased out. I think Nketiah, Pepe, whether we keep with Aubameyang or not is another question. But I don't see a long-term future for Lacazette. What do you reckon, Dan?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at the Lacazette of last season, if he'd have got that chance with the header, and there was one from a short corner as well, which Nelson crossed in, he just completely stuffed it wide. It was a terrible finish. But I think if that's the Lacazette of last season, that's the chances. It might be a confidence thing. I don't know. His mind might be elsewhere. So I'm not sure. It's been a drastic change of form from last season. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't particularly think he's got a long-term future. He's obviously in a battle with Eddie and Nketiah for that starting striker spot, and Eddie's winning it. Eddie's putting in performances, getting goals, looking lively, being dynamic in his play rather than just trying to play with his back to goal like Lacazette does. So yeah, I agree with you, Glenn. I don't know how much longer Lacazette has Arsenal, and you've got to think about his age as well. He's what, 28, 29 now. So
yeah.
Well, Jake, you've had the opportunity to meet some of the Arsenal great goal scorers from history, Henry, Pires and others. Lacazette, how does Lacazette sort of work out in your mind? Do you think he's going to stay? Do you think his performance today was indicative? I
think he's not there. He's not at the level that we expect as Arsenal fans, because he's now below Nketiah, who started the season off at Leeds. He doesn't have the work rate that Nketiah has, Pepe has, Aubameyang has, Martinelli when he was playing had.
Yeah,
they run for the ball. He just seems to. He's just so. He doesn't get involved in the play when we're off the ball. It seems like the other strikers do. He seems to stay on side. That's it. Doesn't chase the ball down. He doesn't do like what Aubameyang does. Chase down any mistake the opponent makes, like we saw with the first goal.
I do think his hold-up play and the way he shields the ball is quite good sometimes, and the way links play. But it's just not. We just need more, don't we? But I also think the way that if he were to go, really good thing. I know Arteta's building a long-term plan. Like I said, you're going to get a year or two out of him if he does decide to stay. So I think that Nketiah has shown so much promise and is doing so well when he does play is a real good thing for Arsenal. You've got Martinelli as well who can play up front. So I think in terms of the long-term project, getting rid of Lacazette would be a good thing.
Well, one of the final positives to take from today is we've gone above Spurs. We're now in 7th. We're now on a plus goal difference of +6. We're now mathematically safe from the dangers of relegation. So today is a day of very positive things, and I think we've got another game coming up in 3 days on Saturday against Wolves. From what you saw today, do you think he's going to start with the same lineup he started with today, or do you reckon he's going to do another shuffle round?
I think it'll be another shuffle round personally, but I think he'll stick with the same formation to kind of match Wolves. They play the same formation with that back three, the two wing backs. But don't look at this as an easy fixture. It's going to be really difficult, and it's a must-win in terms of getting into Europe. Wolves are a really good side. They've got a lot of talent and players who I think who would improve Arsenal massively, a lot of those players in the Wolves squad. So, yeah, it's going to be a really tough fixture.
Who's them? You know what I'm like with names, but who's the Wolves sort of like marauding, wide player?
Coare, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough stopping him. I think maybe Tierney and Saka in front of him. I don't know.
Yeah,
pace.
Him against Tierney is going to be an interesting battle.
Yeah.
Whether Tierney starts as the left centre-back or the left wing-back, we'll wait and see. But
I think Tierney today looked very, very pleased with his performance, and I think we should all be pleased with Tierney's performance. But the one person we haven't spoken about yet is Arteta. We'll finish this video on Arteta. Dan, what do you think about Arteta today? And what do you think about Arteta's 5 subs he made?
I think, decent team selection. Obviously, with the pile up of fixtures he has to rotate. Some of the selection choices were interesting. But I think it was good that, he managed to rest some of the key players. Obviously, Aubameyang came off for the last 10 minutes. Pepe only came off for the last 10 minutes. Saka was on the bench and didn't come on at all. So, some of the key players are getting a rest. Hopefully, Mustafi did pick up an injury. It's not too serious because we are quite short on defenders at the moment. But, I like the formation as well he's playing. We seem a lot more solid. We seem to have better width as well with the 4 backs, and that allows Aubameyang to come inside more and be more of a danger in the penalty area. So, all it's positive signs. I think we're moving in the right direction after what was a difficult few games for Project Restart.
Well, Jake, as I said, you were at the away game, and this is now the home game. How much of a difference have you seen between the two performances? On Friday,
the players look much more confident than they were when we were back in December. I'm glad he's giving young players a chance doing this 5 subs. It's going to be interesting. The next few games are going to be interesting defining for Arsenal's season. The next 4 league games and the FA Cup semi-final. Be interesting how Arteta handles those. Yeah,
I mean, we've got a really congested diary and a lot of hope being pinned on European football on both our performances in the league and in the FA Cup. So I think this is real crunch time. But Glenn, I'm gonna finish with you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you today?
Oh, I'm sort of 8 or 9 out of 10. I was saying about the other day that I've not been engaged in games, but I sat here with a couple of beers watching it, and I was, I'm thoroughly into watching the game tonight. It was great. I know Norwich, fairly weak opposition, but it's good to see us back at home again. You forget, I know we've had a few blips, but I think the main thing to get momentum going is, building up that sort of defiant home record that we've pretty much had. Even when top teams come, it's, apart from City, who tend to sweep us aside, but, rebuilding that sort of pride about playing at home, being a difficult team for anyone to come down to. So I enjoyed that. I'd also like to say I thought the ground was decked out pretty well. I like the fact that the Arsenal acknowledged the away end with a Norwich badge in the corner.
Yeah,
we tend to do things like that, right? It was good. I enjoyed it. Tonight.
Glenn, can I just ask you, on the podcast you mentioned about this supposed media bias. What did you make of ex-Norwich player Chris Sutton on co-commentary?
Well, I was actually going to leave that out, but first time he mentioned our manager's name, he called him Arteta, which just sent me through the roof. It's one name. I'm not great at names, I've got track history, but that was pretty daft. And he was biased when you can hear a few groans and grumbles when free kicks against us, against them. Sorry, but we'll have to live with that. No one likes us.
Well, we could continue talking for a long time about biased commentators and frustrating presenters, but I think let's just focus on the fact Arsenal got 3 points. We got 4 good goals. We're 7th in the league. We got a positive goal difference, and we're now safe from relegation. I'll be back later to talk with Dan about the player ratings, but you can read everything and more on onlinegooner.com.